Action in Carlton Sport.
There now follows a budget response by the Shadow Chancellor, the Right Honourable Gordon Brown MP.
Good evening. I want to tell you tonight about the budget we should have had yesterday. It's the budget our country needs for families, for homeowners, for business, for all the British people. A budget that would offer direction and vision to make Britain more prosperous and a better and fairer place to live. The budget Britain is longing for is one that gets people out of welfare and into work and stops our economic decline, a decline that's already taken us under the Conservatives down from 13th to 18th in the World Prosperity League. The budget Britain needs is one that is fair, honest, and will secure our long-term future. But that's not what yesterday's Conservative budget was about. And you must be as disappointed as I am with the budget. You work harder than ever. You pay more taxes than ever. You see less of your family. You see your health service broken up, your children taught in overcrowded classrooms, crumbling buildings, and fewer opportunities when they leave school. And even when the Chancellor announced a 1p tax cut, what he didn't tell you was that once again he was giving with one hand, but taking with the other. Council taxes up, petrol up, and then the hidden taxes. Prescription charges up, dental charges up, rents up, rail fares up. You're paying more for less because our public services are being cut back too. Now, I don't think it's honest to claim you're cutting taxes when all the time you're clawing the money back elsewhere. I don't think it's honest either to tell us the economy is in better shape than ever when living standards for most of us are not going up, but still going down. And I don't think it's honest for the Conservatives to boast they're the party of low taxes when taxes are at record levels and so much higher even than they were at the last election. Since 1992, they've put VAT on fuel, and it didn't come down yesterday, it stayed up. They put national insurance up, and it stayed up. They put the cost of your mortgages up by virtually cutting your tax relief in half, and that's not changed. And then the insurance tax, the changes in married couples' allowances, they haven't gone away. Since 1992, when the Conservatives fought an election on the promise of tax cut, they have in fact raised taxes by 7p on every pound we earn. Yesterday they cut the tax rate by 1p. 7p up, 1p down. 7 minus 1 still leaves you 6 pence worse off for every pound you earn. And you know that means for the typical family, £670 a year in extra taxes. When at the last election, John Major promised tax cuts year on year. He didn't tell you the truth. And whatever he does, between now and the next election, taxes will be higher than in 1992. And the reason we're paying more taxes is quite simple. It's because the Conservatives have failed on the economy. And it's because they've failed on the economy that the government is having to borrow billions more just to keep going. Our economic failure is so great that yesterday they even had to cut the hospital building programme by 17%. I'll tell you what's gone wrong. We're falling behind. In 1979, we were in 13th place in the World Prosperity League. Now, after 16 years under the Conservatives, we've fallen to 18th place. We're behind France, Italy, and even Iceland. And we've fallen behind Hong Kong and Singapore. Now, the Conservatives may be willing to settle for 18th best for Britain, but I am not. And if you want to know why we've fallen to 18th place in the Prosperity League, look at where Britain stands in the Investment League today. We're 20th for investment. We're behind even Spain and Portugal. And what's worse, we're 35th in the World Education League. Now, we cannot achieve world-class prosperity if we're bottom of the class in education. So what Britain needs is a budget that will make our economy strong again by closing the investment and education gap with our competitors, break the logjam of unemployment and get our nation back to work, and make our tax system fair so that it rewards the hard-working people of Britain. Instead of wasting £1 billion privatising the railways, Labour would use the money to invest in our future. We'd give tax help for long-term investment to the small and growing businesses. We'd encourage a long-term view in industry by rewarding investment and not speculation. And on education, instead of doubling the assisted places scheme, Labour would use the money to cut class sizes in all our schools to give every child the best start in life. Investment in education are the keys that will unlock future economic success. But we must also, and this is our second budget objective, move people from welfare and into work. You know, it costs every family £20 a week, £1,000 a year to pay the bills for unemployment. And just think what this money, now wasted paying for failure, could do for education and for the National Health Service if we could cut unemployment. Now, I believe it's time to implement a bold plan to get the long-term unemployed and young people into work. We all know what unemployment does to the young, and we also know the problems that affect our communities when there are unemployed young people with nothing to do and nowhere to go. But because we're wise spenders, Labour's plan to tackle youth unemployment is tough, as well as caring. Caring because it offers 4 choices to young people: a job with an employer, work and wages with a voluntary organisation, work and training with a new environmental task force, or a chance to go to college if you don't have skills. And what these high-quality opportunities also mean is that living permanently on full benefit need not be and will not be an option. And to pay for this plan, it makes sense to levy a tax on the excessive monopoly profits that the privatised water and electricity companies have made at our expense. A tax on unfair utility profits to give a fair chance to the unemployed. And that leads me to our third budget objective, a fair and honest tax system. You know, a fair budget would have cut VAT on fuel, and that would have especially helped families and pensioners. That would have been my priority if New Labour had been in government. The Conservatives' tax objectives, however, are quite different. The Chancellor repeated yesterday that he wanted to abolish capital gains tax and inheritance tax. It's a change that would help only the very wealthy, and most of the benefit would actually go to the richest 5,000 people in the country. I don't think that's fair. While the government want to use money when affordable to abolish capital gains and inheritance tax, we want instead to use the same money when we can afford it to introduce a new starting rate for income tax of 10 pence in the pound. Now, this would be fairer because it would benefit all taxpayers, and it would be good for the economy because it would let people in work keep more of the money they earn from work. So you know, the real choice on tax is between fairness with Labour, a tax system helping lower and middle income families, or unfair tax under the Conservatives. I believe it's time to end the deceit, the betrayal, the broken promises, and the unfairness of these last few years. And I want to build with you a new trust and a new confidence, a trust between a Labour Chancellor and the British people, investing for the future, tackling social division, creating a fairer Britain, a new trust and a new confidence to set us on the road to prosperity and security. It's the whole country united as one nation, and that needs a new Labour government.
That was a budget response by the Shadow Chancellor, the Right Honourable Gordon Brown MP.